Hello everyone, welcome back. Okay, so I brought in this Chinese elm, and if you've been watching my videos you might have seen me working on this recently. I had this big tree over these rocks. It's actually 3 rocks cemented together, and it just looked a bit, the tree was up on the top and there was a lot of rock down here, so I decided to add these 2 little trees. This one was one that I had where it was one of these S shapes, and I added the top off it, so this was just the bottom kind of piece of it. And then this one, I think this was one that I kind of rescued from like a box store, not a box store, a Tesco's, and they get them in these shopping centres and they just put them out and they just left them dried out. There was very little leaves on it. It was really struggling. It had a horrible root base. You see it's all to its back. So I had it planted on a rock first by itself, and then once it started growing in, I decided I was going to put it on here. So I've added the 2 of them onto this now, just to kind of break up the rock a bit. Now I think they're obviously growing pretty good. I think we can probably take this away now, or at least reduce it right back, and we'll give the trees a bit of a trimming. There's a lot of long shoots now, so we can trim them back a bit, tidy them up. Okay, so first thing we'll do is we'll get rid of this. So I'm going to get a tray or something. See if I can bring it a bit closer, but I'm sure you can still see. So this is just a piece of mesh that I just put some wire down through. Back a bit. Now, I might not take it all off yet. There's still some of these, some of these are still not fully gone down into the soil yet. It's attached, alright. Don't want to risk losing it all, so what I'll do now is I'll just clean out behind it, just brush off some of this, and now to help it finish it off kind of thing, I'll just put a bit of moss around here, just keep the moisture on that. This one seems to be on okay. Yeah, maybe put a bit of moss on this one too. Possibly could have left this on another while. I forgot, to be honest, how short these roots were. I thought they were actually longer, going into the soil a bit more. So I'm thinking, will I put it back on, or even a low one? So I think we could reduce this down in size, I suppose, and just put a piece around back here. Okay, I'll have a think about it and then we'll come back. Okay, so I've just soaked a bit of sphagnum moss, and I got some ordinary moss then as well. So we'll just put a bit of the sphagnum moss kind of in behind the roots here, just to kind of help keep some moisture in there. And little bit just around the base of these runs as well. So I didn't really realise, kind of forgot, I should have probably checked. Went back on my videos and just checked how long these roots were. I thought they were longer and they were going down into the soil. But it's okay, we can do it like this rather than putting the mesh back on. Just pack it with this, and this will help keep the moisture in and it'll still let the roots grow down into the soil. The sphagnum moss will just keep the moisture in this moss as well. Stop it drying out. We just need a little bit for the front here. Okay, that should be fine. Just keep that well watered, keep it moist, and the roots can carry on growing down. Okay, so let's have a look at the trees themselves. I suppose we'll start with the lower trees and then we'll do the top tree. So, they haven't really been styled at all yet, these trees, so this will be kind of just starting off the styling. So, we need to decide what we want with them. I don't particularly want to go wiring them, so we'll just work with clip and grow methods. Someone asked me would I show how I make pads on my Chinese elms, and basically what you need to do is when they're growing like this, you can see there's a bunch of them all growing in all directions. First of all, we'll take off the ones growing up, and then these ones that are growing out, you have to remember that when you prune it, at the base of each leaf there's a bud. So if I prune that here, the new branch, if you can see that with the background, when I prune it there, the new branch will grow that way. So whatever way your leaf is growing, that's the way your branch will grow. So if you want a branch going this way, prune it here for this one to grow this way. And that's all I do really, is I just look at the leaves and decide I want this branch going this way, the next branch, and then I want the next branch and this one growing this way. And if you keep doing that, basically you can create, as it grows, you can create kind of a zigzag pattern on your branches, which will create your peds. So like here, I want this branch to come out this way, and I want the next branch to come out this way to follow that, and then the next two I'll prune and they'll grow this way, and you kind of get the branches to follow each other that way. You don't want them to go out opposites and then come into each other. Kind of mimic each other and get your branches kind of growing like a hand if you can. And then all your finer branches, you kind of mimic each other to create your pads. That's if you want to do it clip and grow kind of way. And they grow pretty quick on Chinese elms. You can create beds pretty fast on them. So what I'm doing first here is I'm just clearing them back, and then we'll go in and we'll decide, like this branch here, I don't think I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this as a pad down here, so this one will be in the way, so I'll take that one out completely. So now we've got the start of our first pad down here. Take out anything that shouldn't be there. We'll actually take that one off. Take out anything growing underneath, and then that's the start of a new pad. It's all kind of set to grow in the right directions. And like I said, you'll be surprised how quickly they will form pads. And just keep on top of your pruning. And don't let them grow too long, because then you just cut them off and starting again. Unless you want a branch to grow thick. So again, up here now we really need some branches coming out this way. So I'm going to go with this bottom leaf here, facing this way. Take off this. Take this one out completely, and this one. And I'm going to have to wait until this one starts sending some horizontal. Now I've got them prune back to the horizontal ones. This branch back here, I don't think I'm going to need. We'll keep this one underneath the tree. I like them to kind of come over the rock a little bit. So I will keep that one, and we'll start to bring that one over here and make a pad under here. This one here we can get rid of, that's coming out off the top of a branch down here. This one we can get rid of. And now we need some growing out the front, so they'll come now the light can get into the front of it. This branch here, do I want this branch? I'm thinking I don't need this one. I can fill it out with these other two. So I think I can get rid of this one. Well, look, we'll leave it for now. We'll maybe take it to next time, but what I will do is at least prune it so it's growing the way we want it to grow. And then I'll keep looking at it. Don't know if I need it. Or do I get rid of this one? And I just grow this one in there. That might be a better idea. Yeah, I'm going to take out this heavier one. It's kind of opposite from these ones. So we'll take that one out. And this one we'll leave, but we'll get it growing in under here, into that gap. So let's prune the back here back a bit. Okay, so that's set to grow now. We'll get that filling in here. Okay, so that tree's more or less ready now. Okay, so this bottom tree now, we're going to have to grow some taller bits up here. So I think I'll leave the top bits to grow. But what I will do is just prune back these bottom ones. We want to create basically a pad down here. Eventually we'll break the pad up into a few pads, but for now we'll just let it grow as one big pad. Get the silhouette of the tree the way we want it growing first. So we've got kind of one pad down there now, you can see. Now we can create a pad up here. So we'll clean off again everything that's going in towards the tree. Or growing straight up. You can see there where the big chop was. where I airlaid the top off. So we get these S shape elms, which they tend to sell very commercial looking. I personally don't like the S shape of them, so I then airlay the tops off, and you end up with a nice little tree, and then you can just work on the bottom to make another tree out of it. And then at least it doesn't have the S, it has a bit of a curve but not that big long S. Okay, so now seeing as I've got a second pad here now started, do I want another pad over here in front of the rock, or do I take that off? Yeah, I think I might take it off, and I might still grow it out, but not as thick. It's very heavy, this branch. So I'm going to take that whole branch out like that. Top one off, we've got one underneath. Like I said, we'll grow this as a big pad, we'll grow this as a pad, and then we'll go in afterwards and separate them into individual little pads. Now the top up here, we kind of want this filling out a bit, so I'm just going to nip off the tops basically of these just to get them to ramify out, but I'm not going to take much off them because we need growth up here. The back here now we have another, I think this one we can get rid of. Another pad, I'll start another pad here, so we'll again take everything growing up, and we'll prune back to an outward facing leaf. That's anything underneath we can get rid of. Okay, so that's basically the start of that one. You can basically see what my plan is. I'll grow this pad out a bit. So we're going to fill out over here, we'll fill out up here. So we'll have a pad up here, we'll have this one coming kind of over here, and then this one. At the moment it's still a bit separated because of the cut. But once this, I could wire it over. But we'll just, they grow pretty quick, so there's no need, we'll just let it grow. Okay, now for the main tree. As you can see, this one's been growing pretty good too. So again with this one, I think I'm just going to go in and do a bit of a hedge pruning rather than individual pruning with it. So it'll just be a kind of a quick prune. Taking off all these long ones, especially the ones going up and down. But it wasn't that long ago I already pruned this tree. As you can see, they grow pretty fast. Basically, once you have your pads created and built, then it's just a matter of pruning anything that's coming out of the silhouette of the pad, and then like that, just separating the pads a bit. When I got this tree again, it was in the garden centre, it was indoors. They much prefer being outdoors. All my Chinese elms live outside all through the year. I don't bring them in the winter or anything. Some lose their foliage in the winter, some don't. Must just depend on the tree. But this one was indoors. It was on a top shelf in the garden centre, and it was really struggling with very little leaves on it. Had huge big long branches with a few leaves at the end. The internodes were 5 or 6 inches apart with each leaf, and the roots were just kind of hanging. They were in a pot, but they were like hanging all over the place, and it had barely any soil and all that. So I got it and I brought it home, and I was either chop off all the roots or put them over something. So I decided to put them over this. These are 3 stones that I just cemented together, and then I basically chopped off all the branches and just started from the trunk. Again, it was a bit of an S shape. I took off. I don't know if you can see under there. The camera, you might be able to see it. In under there was where I took off the top, chopped off the top, because it went up another. So I chopped that off, and I just started from scratch, basically building the tree and building the branches out. Like I would say, one of the most important things with your trees is creating negative space. The gaps between your pads are as important as your pads, because without your gaps then it just looks like a bush. So you need to create openings and spaces if you can, and to round off each pad, or at least you don't have to round them off, you don't want them rounded, but make a gap like that between them. It also helps us make it miniaturized better. Looks more miniaturized if you have lots of little pads rather than a couple of big ones. Now if this was going in a show or something, I wouldn't just do this. I'm just chopping through leaves and everything here. But I take a lot more time and care and prune each individual branch by just holding it and snipping it in like that between leaves. But this is basically just going to go back in my garden, and in a few weeks time it'll all be grown out again, and I'll have to go and do it all again. So now I've got the the main branch structure sorted. Does make life a bit easier to maintain the tree rather than getting it looking spectacular, but it just this way I can just maintain it. Just keep it in check. Okay, so I'll pause the video and we'll go through and keep going and I'll get it all done and then we'll come back and have a look at it. Okay, well it's done now, so I'll just move the camera back again so you can try and see the whole composition. So yeah, and obviously a few that I've missed, but like that we'll get them the next time. Always try and keep your underneath clean. So we'll have another look at this in a few weeks, and these should have filled out quite a lot in that time. They're not in this pot that long, so they're only still getting established in the pot, but when they do, they'll start to really grow as thick. With a branch here, don't want that on the leg. Yeah, so that's about it. So like I said, try and create, you can see the kind of holes I've created in the gaps between the branches. You don't want it looking like a big bush if you can help it. You want to try and create gaps. And like I said, it's still got a bit of a, but I got rid of the last bit of a twist, so it just doesn't look as bad now. That's what I did with these guys. So yeah, I've actually worked on the early topped areas on a few different videos, so you've probably seen them. If you haven't, you will at some stage if you keep watching. So we'll leave it at that. I'll take it out, give it a good watering. It's quite dry again, and we'll see you on the next one. So thanks for watching.